welcome to Spirit Switchboard. I'm your host, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Thank you so much for being here. UPRN, I invite you to go check out uprntalkradio.com. All of our shows are listed there, all of our hosts. We have new shows happening all of the time. Lots of fun, exciting changes and things that are happening on UPRN, and you don't want to miss out on any of it. UPRN has so many shows to offer. There's something for everyone. Plus, all of our archive shows are there. So if you've missed something, you don't need to miss it. You can head to uprntalkradio.com or to any of their social media sites as well too, and on YouTube to find those archive shows. So thank you so much for being here. Let's just pop this over. Hi, Laura Lee. Thank you so much for helping me out just before the show. So Laura Lee Potvin, my friend and colleague and co-host of Beneath the Hollow Moon on Thursday evenings and host of the Angel Rock on Mondays. Hi, Tammy. Thank you so much for being here. Denise Mitz, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Hi, James. James also has his YouTube channel, Wizard Radio. If you want to drop that in the comments, James, please do. Hi, Heidi. Thank you for being Nana all day. My granddaughter calls me Queenie. I love that. I love everything about being a grandma. It's a gift, right? My little one is not feeling well. She's been underneath. She's been some kind of tummy bug the last couple of days. Poor Peanut. Hi, Contessa Martins. Thank you for being here. Hi, Mish. Thank you for popping in. We're just going to move this over. Oh, hi, Fiona. Thank you for being here. So, for folks that are just meeting me for the first time or just finding Spirit Switchboard, thank you so much. I am a psychic medium from Southern Ontario. I'm based out of Guelph. I'm from Northern Ontario originally. I have been working as a psychic medium full-time for 18 years, and I have had this ability from the time that I was little. So I have 4 children. They're adult children, clearly, because I am a queenie with a granddaughter. My kiddos had abilities as well, too. So when I first started doing this work, it was for helping families and parents that had children that had abilities and sensitivities like I did. So it's been quite a ride. And this spring has been so busy. Tomorrow night, we're doing a seance in Guelph, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's sort of then it'll be the start to a little bit of a slower schedule for me. The spring has been super crazy. So I'm looking forward to the things that are coming up. Having a little bit of a slower schedule. Oh, hi, Richard. I've got, my mug, folks, my awesome Spirit Switchboard mug. It's so those of you that are just listening, it has the Spirit Switchboard logo on it. And on the back, it says, if at first you don't succeed, try doing what Bob told you the first time, and Bob would be your spirit guides. And Richard, my dear friend Richard, had that made for me. So I was talking to my guest prior to the show, and we got started talking, and then we missed our start time. So we were a little behind getting started. So there is so much for us to chat about, and so many stories and things to learn from our guest tonight. And our guest tonight is also part of the UPRN family. So I feel very blessed and very privileged to be able to introduce you to paranormal researcher and investigator and host of Don't Whistle at Night, Don Yazzie. How you doing?
Hello, not too bad. How are you?
Good. Can you share with folks that are just meeting you for the first time a little bit about who you are and how you came to be part of UPRN?
Hello, everybody out there listening. My name is Don Yazzie. I'm Dene from the Navajo Nation, and just being from the Navajo Nation, we are subject to a lot of things other than violence. Hello, Miss Lori L'Oreal.
Laura, yeah, Laura Lee.
Yeah. Oh, Lori Lee. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, and we witness a lot of strange things, from cryptids to hauntings to, oh man, visitations, from the little gray guys, from Bigfoot, even to the Centaur, and it just goes on, and then just my life, just existing here, it's always been full of mystery, ever since I was a child. The list goes on and on and on. Hey, Kurt.
Hi, Kurt. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I remember some of
Good.
these. Some of them I remember. And yeah, so in being Navajo, we're told not to talk about all these paranormal events. Even talk about Sasquatch, talk about skinwalkers. Anything that is paranormal, we're told not to talk about. Because it'll change the vibes. It'll change it'll mess with the vibration. That thing might come. You might invoke that thing to come towards us. That'd be the main
Right.
thing. So they'll tell us to be quiet. And
Really.
yeah,
So, the experiences that you had as a child, what came first? Hearing stories as a warning and as a lesson, and then the experiences, or did you have early experiences and share, and then get told the stories?
a bit of everything.
Really?
Because yeah, because I would wake up, or I would wake up the next day, and I had my aunts, my uncles, tell me that, are you okay? Why did you get out the house? Why were you walking down a mile or two from the house? Either walking down on the pavement down to the highway, or going south on the dirt road. They would be
How
driving
old were
both
you?
ways. Oh man, this was probably 4, 5, 6. All it was like happening repeatedly, and as I came to it would happen like I'd be dancing in the living room. It'd be 3 in the morning with my eyes open. I'll be dancing with something. I'll be walking down the road with my hands out, holding someone's hand, and I would not
Mm,
remember a single thing. And they, yeah, so a lot of things would happen. Plus, the house we lived in was an old uranium miner's house. So a lot of things happened in
um,
that house. We have no idea what happened there. The house was haunted. You know, in that house, you would hear what sounded like a horse coming down the hallway. Stuff like that. And even we had this old TV. Remember the ones that would make noise?
yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah, it had multiple of them. Then it had its own little cabinet you open and close.
Yeah.
But this is huge, right? It's a big TV. This thing would do that, it'd be turning channels, and this thing would be opening and closing at my grandpa's house. Just stuff like that would happen, you know. And
So, uh, but what was the background like at that time? Was there more of a Christian background or the traditional background, or was it both? And
it's
what were
both.
the adults doing when those things were happening?
My grandpa, he was born and raised, being Navajo traditional. He would put ash on me. He'd do his prayers, and my grandmother brought I was born, and my mother, she dedicated me, to God as a child, and she brought the same guy. He was my one of my grandpas, to come and pray for me. They waited till I went to sleep, like around 10 o'clock at night, and 10 to 11. They said I was laying in bed. They surrounded the bed. They started praying for me, and they said I rolled over to my back. My mouth was open, or my eyes was open, and I opened my mouth. And this bright light came from my mouth, hovered right above me. This whole thing lit up the whole room. And then it just went through the walls. And that the man that dedicated me, he said that this boy was supposed to be a median. He had the spirit of a median. And I don't know if they ever turned that switch off. Because I would go into a house and I would know if it's haunted or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I would, like, if I were going
So
to a haunted or a building apartment complex, I would see a ghost and I wouldn't know if that's a ghost. Sometimes I'd be like, oh, hey, there's a kid right there. What kid?
yes.
Yeah, so like, hey, no. Okay, all right, that's not a kid. Like, this place is haunted. And it gets worse. Like, if I have to sleep there, oh man, it gets worse.
But for
Yeah.
us, it's normal. It's our normal being able to be that way, right? So
Yeah.
are they, when you said switch it off, did the adults in your family feel it was something that needed to be switched off?
Yeah, because I was wandering out the house, really late, and like, from our culture, the traditional side is that usually the ones that are practicing witchcraft, they're trying to lure a kid outside to
Oh,
commit human sacrifice. So, not knowing all this was going on, my grandpa, before I was born, he stole a medicine man's tool basket, that are his bag, his satchel, because everyone has a satchel. My skinwalker that I seen, he had a satchel on him. And that satchel, they can make your body small, put you in their bag. So that bag smells like rotting, decaying human. So, that's what they would do. They're trying to lure kids out. So that medicine man was the enemy of my grandpa.
gotcha. And do they feel that's why you were being lured out?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of, like, my family, we turned from our traditional ways. A lot of us from the western side of Navajo Nation, we were never captured during the genocide wars on our people. We relied on our shape shifting abilities and hide and seek capabilities. And we're second place hide and seek champs. Bigfoot's number one.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so he actually helped us out too. He hid us and he helped protect our children too. So he played a lot of role within us to help us survive as well.
So do you feel there's a lot of misconceptions from everyone who's outside of that culture about what Bigfoot are and what skinwalkers are?
Oh yeah, especially on the skinwalking part.
Yeah.
Everyone think it's a cryptid, but we're like, no, he's a man with super uh, capabilities, supernatural, the magic. He can tap into that realm. He can disappear on you. He can do all kinds of things. It's a it's pretty amazing, but at the same time,
So
it's really dark.
so would you see everyone who is talking or investigating about skinwalkers like babies treading through the like tramping through the forest and not being quiet, creating more issue than they are helping understanding and helping research? Like, do we create more damage than we do understanding? Do
From
you,
the traditional standpoint, yeah, we're told to give him as much space as possible. But he does violate his. We made a deal with him a long time ago. Back in the day, they almost ate all of us, but we turned the tide and we made a deal with them. Nighttime is supposed to be for them. Daytime's for us. They don't come near us. We don't go near them. But no one honors treaties these days, deals these days, and you know, like, a lot of us, a lot of my people, they're against bringing in investigators from outside, because they just want him to be wild. We share our land with him. He's the last wild thing. Him and the other creatures are the last wild things, true wild things. And we don't want them to pay taxes along with us.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Um, Bringing people outside wouldn't be able to honor the traditional ways because they wouldn't understand it if they weren't taught any of that. In
Yeah.
order to so it would just create more trouble.
Yeah, that's what led me to be really careful on who I chose to collaborate with, because I collaborated with William Jevning. He came in with more of a respecting Bigfoot approach instead of coming in with guns and a bunch of people, with guns.
Couldn't
That's the
imagine
last
going
thing.
to yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if people seen that on the reservation, everyone's gonna come with their guns, and it's gonna get blown out of proportion right away. Yeah, it's not. So what I did is I brought in William, and our producer Adam, and we started doing footwork, going you know, swap meets to pinion pickers to loggers, anyone we seen on the road, even high school students. Everyone's seen Bigfoot. Everyone's seen other creatures than Bigfoot as well. Like I went and called the other government community. The different communities have their own government functions, chapter houses, you would call them, across Navajo Nation. So I called every one of them and asked them if they have a Bigfoot problem. They say yeah, but they all said that we have more things than Bigfoot out here. I'm like, yeah, I'm well aware of that. I'm from here, but we're only doing Bigfoot right now. And
So when you say Bigfoot problem, they're not always helpful. They're not always coexisting
oh,
in
you mean like
a
you
positive
mean like
way.
you
Yeah.
mean
So
like our
what would be
people?
the problem? Yeah. What would the
Oh,
problem? Yeah.
probably. I think there's a lot of them right now. There's a lot of them. There's thousands of them.
Wow.
Different area community would see different family groups of 4 to 9,
Right.
and
So it's
they
the
all would look different.
population is a problem.
Both us and them, yeah. And same
Okay.
time,
Yeah.
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 Navajo Nation has like about over 80,000 feral horses running around. So these things like to eat the wild horses as well. You will
Uh,
find the kill pile of the wild horses scattered everywhere. Be like
so
5 to 3
following food
horses.
sources.
Yeah, yeah. Not only that, you got cattle, you got sheep. We're a grocery store for these guys. Definitely, they'll start raiding an area for 2 weeks. They'll move on another area for 2 weeks, raid that area, raid another area while he's making away from mountain to mountain, canyon to canyon, wash to wash.
Right. I had Thomas Seawood on, and he was sharing about Wendigos and how his belief in his culture that they're pushed out, like they're the rogue Sasquatch that's gone bad. The community has pushed them out, and they've gone rogue and crazy. So, what is that? How your culture would view that or see that as well too, or what would be similar for you? I had never heard of that, so it made sense to me when he was talking about it, and I had not even thought about it. That what do you do, or what they become? How do they govern themselves if one goes rogue or one is not staying within their own community structure and rules, right?
Hmm. We have certain individuals in different areas that have put their foot down, as you would say, against these Bigfoots. So, so this is what really happened right here. It's a true story. This is example. So a while ago, these 3 teenagers went riding. They started out during the day on one horse, 3 boys, and the evening came and went. It was nighttime, and the boys' family, they're all driving around looking for him. The police were looking for him. They had EMT looking for them, with their lights out. And then they had fire department looking for them in the mountains. And it hit 3 in the morning, and everyone knows this one man. I spoke with their family. really good family. They have stories of Bigfoot, like crazy stories. So I believe they have a chance of making intelligent contact, that family, because they're on good terms with the Bigfoots. So much as
Right.
these Bigfoots would come and play prank on them. That's how close they are. And
Right.
so they would call that man, the grandpa, they would call him, and he would saddle up his horse and he would find them within an hour. He'd find whoever really quick. And he same thing, he found those boys like around 4 in the morning. He found them in a really, really tight, narrow canyon. They lodged themselves deep into there. The horse lodged itself. They had to pull the horse out. It took a while to get the horse out. They wedged themselves in there. And then when they got them out, they said, Why did you guys wedge yourself in there? What's the reason for this? We're looking all over for you. How come you're not answering us? We're, helicopters flying around. What's wrong? And they said, oh, we heard you. We heard everything, but we were yelling in here. We went deep inside of there because, Bigfoot can't get us. They're like, Bigfoot can't get you guys in there. They're like, no, because he's too wide. He's too big to get into that area. But his hands was really close on grabbing us. They said he was standing there for hours trying to get them and the horse. Horse was crying. So the horse was a really good indicator when he's around or skinwalkers are around. We really
Right.
trust on the horse and the dog.
So I've heard of Sasquatch. Do you call them Sasquatch? What do you call them?
Yei'iitsoh. Yei'iitsoh, and then the other name is the Hairy Man and the Hairy Holy Man. So he has three names.
Are there distinction in characteristics? Why are there three different names?
The the hairy man. My grandmother's seen him. We used to go to the San Juan River a lot, swim and fish. Just grill by the river, and she's seen him a lot. I've seen him a few times. And my grandpa, they called him the River Monster. He has different names, but they call him the Hairy Holy Man because he liked the. Okay, so the Hairy Man is one of the names. He likes to watch females. He likes to just
Oh,
watch.
that's
Creepy, and he
creepy.
won't bother them. Yeah, he won't bother them, but sometimes he'll take the women and children. And then the hairy holy man, like we had this little community up on the Chuska Mountains. This little village, they had to make a run because the soldiers, the cavalry, the scouts, they're all coming. We had everyone coming for us, and that family had to go start hiding. So they went from mountain to mountain, and they couldn't all take all the children because they had some children with some disabilities. It would slow them down. So they put them all in one hogan, built a fire, left water, food for them. Said, we can't take you. Just we'll be back when this is all over. They left, and then 9 years went by. The war was over. They came back from hiding, and when they got back to that area, they seen the smoke coming from the hogan. They were so excited. They're really excited. They couldn't believe what they're seeing. They made it back into the hogan, and they seen all the kids older, bigger. They seen soup over the fire. They seen what all they're taken care of. 9 years. They said, how, who's taking care of you? How's this possible? They said, oh, it's the hairy man. He brings us food. He cooks for us. He brings wood. He builds a fire. And when we get sick, he'll take that kid for 3 days, bring him back. He's okay. When I get sick, he takes me for 3 days, and he brings me back, and I'm okay. And then, like the
Wow,
soldier, the cavalry would come close, the enemy scouts would come close, and he would chase them off. Yeah,
interesting. That's interesting.
yeah. There's other stories too of him weaving baskets for a little girl to take because we took refuge on this high tower rock called Spider Rock. So they hit up there, the little community out there in Canyon del Muerto. So it was a slaughter site. A lot of people got slaughtered, mainly women and children and elders. So the ones that could climb up there, they took refuge. And little girl, they would sneak down. Little girl every night, every morning, She sneak away through the cavalry camp, climb up that ridge to that mesa up on that cedar forest, and she would gather cedar berries, gather as
Mm.
much as she can because that's what they're living off of. Cedar berries up there, and they would make a human chain or let down that little girl from a long rope, and she would get water. And they would all take cups of water all the way back a human chain while the cavalry and the scouts were sleeping. So she was doing that, and then they noticed that she was getting faster and faster, and she was bringing back more juniper berries, more. And these baskets were woven. They're like, who, how do you have time to do this? She's like, oh, that's my grandpa. Like, what do you mean, your grandpa? My hairy grandpa. He
Oh,
knows we're hiding here. He knows the white people are down there. They want to kill us all. So he's up there watching. He's weaving these baskets and he's collecting these juniper berries for us so we can survive. He's watching over
yeah.
us. And
There's a
she's
couple of
calling him my grandpa. Oh, go ahead.
so and helpful. Like so, I guess that's why they would call them Holy Man, the hairy Holy Man, because he's so helpful. I have
Hmm.
a friend who has sightings of Sasquatch or Bigfoot on his property, and he has a gifting chair. Um, Richie B. So he has a podcast on Saturdays. So Bigfoot banter with Richie B. and Wojo, and he leaves gifts, and there's an interaction back and forth of acknowledgement of these beings on his property. Interesting.
Yeah, it is. I have
Okay.
a few witnesses that do that as well, and none of their animals have been taken.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
There's
everyone else around them. Yeah.
yeah.
If their animal's not taken, it's their blood that gets drained out. The Bigfoot likes blood. He loves blood more than water.
I've never heard that.
You oh well, when you start doing like looking into all these things, you see evidence of it'll send chills up your spine, and even coming face to face with this guy, this guy's eyes is huge, giant
So
eyes.
when the
Yeah.
bones are found, is all the marrow taken out of it?
Yeah,
Do they?
yeah. A lot of them are snapped. Some of them, like few of them, yeah. The marrows they're snapped. They suck out the marrow. There's no evidence of scavenger. There's no evidence of tools, knives. Everything is pulled out. Really, really strong. Really strong.
There's Julie Jean Bassett. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to get to your questions right now. Laura Lee um, was just sharing Wendigo creep me out, especially living in northwestern Ontario. Laura Lee's in Thunder Bay. I don't know if you've heard stories about Thunder Bay, but it's wild.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
got
Something for me to
all
look
of
into.
them. Julie Jean Bassett, thank you so much for being here. Her question is, do you think Bigfoot or the hairy man are interdimensional beings? And then she has a little bit further questions with that. Is that why they tend to disappear and they're hard to catch visually or to see? Although it sounds like you've had many sightings of them.
From what I've seen and from what all my witnesses seen and from physical evidence that no, they don't dimension travel. However, they can jump 30 feet horizontal or vertically, 30 plus feet. The longest jump I've measured was 36 feet. These guys are boom, 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 canyon to canyon. Put
Interesting.
distance from you and from itself like that. These guys jump out the corral. They say that it looks like a grasshopper while he's jumping. And the other witnesses say that his feet is like a frog's leg when he jumps over you. You look up and you see he tucks in his leg like a frog. And boom, boom.
Interesting.
And when he's facing you, I had another witness that opened the door because he was looking in the window. He was really tall. They opened the door and he was right there at the door and he started jumping backwards. So I don't know if you know how tall a teepee is. The teepee structure is pretty tall, like 20 feet. almost 30 feet. This guy jumped backwards, clearing that whole teepee, jumping backwards away from that person, those two people.
I'm speechless. I don't even know what to
Yeah,
say.
and when he starts running, so his normal stride is 6 feet each stride. So when he starts running, it goes up by 3 feet. So it increases 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet, and this guy's running. He's moving
Wow.
fast. How I found out is just tracking. Like I was tracking this 23, maybe even 24-inch track, giant track. Oh yeah, they do. They can run that fast. They can even run 65 miles an hour.
So Kurt is just sharing, yes, I also heard they run like 50, 60 miles per hour, the taller
Yeah.
ones, at least, not sure about the smaller ones.
Oh man, you feel the ground shake. The ground
Really?
shakes. Yeah, you hear it. You hear it, and it sounds like helicopter propeller. Tuk, 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 tuk.
I know
You feel it.
Thomas talked about tracking too, right? And he said that, and for him, that's why he's had the experiences or takes people out, is the way that he's able to track. And I love listening to him talk about bringing military people out. And he's like, you pick your nose and you snort this. He said, I was watching you all when you were sleeping and you didn't even hear me. Like, and the tracking part for sure. I
Yeah,
wish that I had asked my grandpa more stories, because my grandpa used to say that old trappers never die. They just smell like it. That was always his catchphrase, right? And he was
yeah.
a bushman out in the bush, and he had all kinds of
Oh,
stories.
all
I wish
kinds of
I
stories.
always
Yeah,
out in the bush, and I wish I had more time to ask him more stories before he was no longer here.
yeah.
Um,
Don't we all? Mhm.
yeah. The tracking, though, in tracking, would you see it consistently in order to know, like that 30-foot jump or the adding three, like it's something that you've seen more than once to know that's something that they can do?
Yeah, you
Crazy.
just
Oh,
follow the evidence. The evidence will never lie to you. The physical evidence will never let you down. And if, like, when I first got into this 2017, we're at a waterfall, and I refused to believe that he jumped in the portal. That 24-inch track, giant. I refused to believe it. I was talking to myself, and I was like, you did not disappear on me. I'm gonna find you. So I started doing the spiral, a clockwise spiral. So each spiral, I'm going out further and further and further, and finally, I found him. He landed. He jumped. So it's like,
crazy.
yeah, and he jumped 3 times, and man, he was already
So,
over 100 feet. Those 3 hops.
so do you feel that because people report hearing like a pop sound, so a lot of people believe the pop sound is a portal door that's opening or closing? Could the pop be more the landing that they're hearing potentially, or what do you feel the pop is? That
I
pop
have
sound.
I have yet to see for myself, but I have captured audio evidence of that wood knock, like
Oh, so
someone
more of a
like
wood knock than just a
sounds
pop.
yeah, sounds like someone's hitting a home run at 3 in the morning, or someone's hitting
Oh,
a boom, like you hear the
like a crack.
yeah, you hear someone hitting it, like someone hitting two 4x4s together really loud. And my predecessor William, he says that they make it with their mouth. And I have another witness.
With their
He's a
mouth.
bow hunter. Yeah, and I have another witness on the Navajo Nation, seen him do it with his mouth too, like that. That's what they're
So
doing.
is that um just a vocalization that they have, or they're mimicking to throw people off? What would that be?
Locators, they're locating each other. They
Oh,
use that,
makes
and they
sense.
also use the whistles. They whistle through the giant block teeth. They're just showing you their teeth, but they're whistling. It's a creepy, creepy guys. They're the perfect creepy. These guys seem Yeah, they're just creepy top to bottom. That's why I like them. That's why they're my favorite.
I would like them too. I do like them. I have so many. Everything is Sasquatch. Everything is Sasquatch, including my keychain. I've had it for like 20 years. Okay, I'm just gonna bring up some of the comments and then thank you so much for sharing. I have a question about you sharing too, but we'll get to that in a second. Laura Lee is sharing we have a large Ojibwe and Cree First Nations population as well as many legends, Sleeping Giant or Legend of Nanabiju and Kakabeka Falls. Yeah, there's a lot up there. James lives in Washington. He lives on the mountain in his cabin and has interactions with Bigfoot on his property or hears them.
Lucky.
As well too. So he said, yep, we hear that up here too, a womp womp womp. He said Bigfoot running, and he said like 3 knocks.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Julie Jean, I saw your question, so I feel like Don addressed that, but as far as portals, you haven't heard that or seen that. You've seen more of the left brain evidence where it's more physical and not necessarily dimensional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because my climate doesn't have really, really big trees. We have juniper, we do have pine, we have pinon, we have ponderosa pine, we have cedar tree. So we're able to see a little bit more than you would than other areas like the Northwest or Arkansas, where it's more lush and vegetation, where it's hard to track. So
Right.
here we're really high, so the average elevation is over 6,000 feet, and we're high and dry, so we can find a track, and the track would be able to stick around for a week to 2 weeks if the conditions are right.
So do they hide more underground or in tunnels?
They can. There's a lot of cave systems, underground cavities that crisscross underneath us, and there's a lot of oral stories of them taking our people, and a lot of stories of if we go down there, we're gonna find clothing, we're gonna find tools, weapons, bones from all different periods, and they stack different piles and different piles. And when they start taking your clothes, that means they're probably planning to take you. They have a crush over you, especially a woman or a little girl, maybe even a boy they'll take.
So the voyeurism becomes an obsession. Creepy little buggers.
Yeah, so don't feed them. Because he's going to follow you. He'll follow you home.
Right.
And if he's
I've dealt with enough creepy obsessive people. I don't need to have Sasquatch be creepy obsessive either.
Right. I attract the human part of that, and I just want Bigfoot part of that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Am I sending out the wrong vibe? It's supposed to go this way. No.
Yeah, leave a hair sample at the door.
Oh yeah, exactly. The hair,
and then
the hair from your armpits. No,
yes.
These guys stink. That's why these guys stink.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that too. My grandpa swears that there were some kind of experience, but he wouldn't necessarily say what it was, but he said you just know what a bear smells like, you know what a carcass that's rotting smells like, or they all have different. I talk about him quite a bit. He used to stretch and tan. He was the local trapper. So if the township was having issues, they would call him to trap animals. And so he would stretch and tan the hides in his cabin behind his house. And I would sit with him when he was doing that, and he would tell stories. Nice. Mm-hmm. He would tell stories, but he had an appreciation for and a respect, which he impressed upon all of us, for nature and community and the land around us, right? Okay, I'm seeing these questions. I'm so sorry. Let me grab
one second. Can I go to the bathroom real quick?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry. Let me excuse myself. Sorry.
You guys are asking great questions. Thank you. Thank you so much. James, I have a question for you. Do you leave food out about? Do you have like a gifting exchange, or have they come up really close to your place where you've seen eye shine or anything like that? And it's always fascinating to hear the different sides of it, because I mean, I've had other people talk about Sasquatch being more the quantum, right? Quantum Bigfoot. And we've had that discussion as well too. Laura Lee, I like that question about orbs, so we are going to get to that as well too. And Julie Jean, I like that question as well. If there's just different types, right, from different places. I don't know. The curiosity in me would love to still have that experience.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I just was asking James if he leaves gifts on his property as well too, if he does gifting or does some kind of exchange, or does he just leave them be and see what happens, right? Like, don't engage necessarily. So he's just commenting now.
Yeah,
he said no, but might start.
Oh, okay, sorry, go ahead.
And yes, they do come close to the cabin. You smell them before you hear them. So what advice would you give him? Don't gift, don't leave the apple out, don't leave him the treat.
Just depends on him if he wants uninvited guests, peeping toms, or missing dog, missing cat, and maybe missing persons. It leads up to that all the time.
Gotcha.
I guess it depends on the Sasquatch, I guess, because certain parts on the reservation, they actually feed the dog that's tied up outside the house. They'll bring filet mignon back for that dog. And they'll even pet the dog too. The dogs will even know the Sasquatches too. So I have witnesses that that never cease to amaze me with stories. Half the time I have to collect my jaw off the ground to ask them a question.
So why do you think the experiences are so vastly different?
Oh man, I have no idea, but I have stories for days on different people, and I cannot put my thumb on this guy, on them.
Really?
I can't put my thumb on them. I don't know what they're thinking, but all I know is they're 10 steps ahead of us, obviously. They're 10 steps ahead of us, and they can see at night, and they can smell. And just like a noise from your electronic device, they can hear over a mile away. So there's ways where we could get close to them.
So even if we think we're being quiet, we aren't really.
They smell our scent glands. They can smell. So one of the ways that our people would do, one of the tricks that our people would do would use hunting as well, or if you want to get close to somebody without them smelling us, would be mixing water with your sage. Just mix as much water as you want with your sage. Us Navajo, we don't burn sage. We're not supposed to burn sage. We drink it. And we become a part of that plant, because a lot of our clans are, from plants, different clan systems. So, we're really nature loving people. So the sage would be one of the best ways to mask your scent. And you'll be able to walk up to the deer and pet the deer.
Laura Lee is asking, why do some people believe they see orbs when Bigfoot are around? Have you collected any stories regarding that at all?
No, I haven't seen any of that as well on my Bigfoot experiences, but I have seen orbs. I was chased once by an orb, me and a couple of my family members. strange. I'm the one that lost my composure. I was the one that hurried up and ran because I had no idea what I was looking at, and it was coming towards us. I was like, "Oh!" Everyone started running after me. But when I see my Bigfoot, I just seen huge eyes as huge as my fist, big head, and that eye was reflecting the light. Was the flashlight we were shining at it, spotlight, headlight, whatever light you have, depends what light system. It'll depends, like, it'll give red or he'll give amber reflection back.
Does the hair is the hair reflective, or like people talk about the hair being able to cloak
Daytime,
because it's all of that, but in different colors from gray to brown to red.
black,
What do you black?
buck
What
skin,
mm,
gray.
do
Yeah,
you think
this. Go ahead. Sorry.
it's just no? That's okay. I'm interrupting you. I apologize. Just because now I have 18 questions in my head. Is it different? Like just like us, we have different physical qualities because of our genetic and our family groupings. It would be the same for them as well too.
Yeah, we like our people always known that there's many of them. They all don't look alike. They all have different variations. Some look like a long face, and some of them are like you and I, and some of them are like a gorilla looking. And there's
But
another one too. That some of them have five, some of them have four fingers, and some of them have three fingers. Same thing with tracks. Most of them have five, but in certain areas you'll find four toe and three toe. And the four toe and three toe, they have an inch claw coming out of them. Those ones are the nasty ones. Really nasty. Where
would they
like
be
I have I
older? Like,
if they get white, all of them when they get older, they all turn white. They get white and
okay.
old. Yeah, and a lot of them are with the babies too. Some of them are with their babies if they're having babies at that age. But when they're young, they're black or buckskin or red when they're young. Different variations.
So the different variations, are they all sort of interconnected anyway? Does it matter where they are geographically? Like, do you see this area has more of this type of sightings? This area tends to have this, or is it just crapshoot? They're all
They
intermingled,
all travel.
and because of migrating with food sources
Hmm. The
and
deer. Pay
seasonal
attention
and
to the deer.
seasonal changes as well too.
Hmm. Yeah, if you pay attention to the deer, it'll let you know their habit. Like a lot of times the deer during the day he's not by the road, and at night he's by the road because same thing with all the animals on the reservation. They're always by the road at night, and they're looking out in the darkness. So and when you're off the reservation, you don't see that much. I thought that was really strange. But a lot of
It's
times they come out to the road and they'll pull the back legs off the cow or the deer. They'll pull the back legs off during the day, and when the sun goes down they'll come around and they'll scoop that animal up in the cover of darkness.
mm, that
They
was the
do that to
sighting behind
dogs
my
too.
dad's house. That it was
Oh really?
a moose hind quarter. Well,
Oh.
my stepmom's house. My dad and her have been together for over 30 years now, and on a reservation outside of Sault Ste. Marie, and uh, that's the reported sighting was a bipedal, hairy creature over 9-10 feet tall
Hmm.
with a moose hind quarter.
Yeah. Yep. And like when we're hunting, they'll even come by. You'll have the deer, hanging up, and he'll come by and just rip completely half of it, and he'll carry off the other half.
Laura Lee is sharing. Yeah, yes, I've heard that the blondes and red-haired Bigfoot are the ones who are more dangerous and aggressive. Have you?
Maybe where she's from, but on the Navajo Nation, it's the black ones. The black ones are huge, over 14 feet tall.
Over 14
Those
feet.
guys, yeah. And they're usually followed by two Bigfoot smaller. Either one's red or one's buckskin, or they're both red and they're both female.
Interesting.
Huge block teeth.
Kurt is asking, does Bigfoot live in any cold climates? Seems like mostly hot, humid, or slightly cooler temps, but wooded, but never heard of in the snow, or would that be Yeti? And Julie Jean Bassett was asking the same question too, like abominable snowman or Yetis. And is it just a different cultural background, different variation?
Same. They're basically on every continent except Hawaii. And they're even on Papua New Guinea. And
Yes.
and the
I did some
stories
research.
go,
Papua New Guinea is a weird place, man.
yeah, they have the lava tubes, so maybe he comes up from because he uses our lava tubes here in the Southwest, because these lava tubes will go deep. We took refuge down in there when the last flood happened. That's how deep it is. Air pocket. And that's where we cornered them too. We almost killed all the Bigfoots off at one point in time, but we let them live. We chased them all into the Grand Canyon, way deep in there, into the lava tubes deep in there.
And let them live by making an agreement about coexisting?
Yeah, the days for us, the nights for you. You don't go past this way, we don't go past that way. And then it even came into our culture. Every winter we have a certain ceremony where the men will be the only ones outside and the women and children have to be inside, because in the wintertime we'll be outside with the corn, whatever offering we have, and this guy would come and we would offer him some food and we would tell him to go. He'd go. But if the women and children are out, he'll take them while he's going on his way.
I've heard that. That's crazy. James
And
is
then,
sharing. Sorry.
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, he was just sharing.
Yeah, they follow it there.
Yeah, the same with as what you had shared with us earlier, finding lots of deer carcasses with broken legs.
Yeah, especially the back ones. They pull out the back ones. I have a lot of witnesses that seen them do it with their own. A lot of first-hand accounts of them seeing them do that, and then coming back at the cover of darkness and scooping the animal away. Even the dogs, and they'll cut too. Even behind here, the arm, they'll cut where they maim that animal. The animal may be still alive, but it'll get infected, and you have to put that dog, that sheep, that horse down, because they'll never recover, because Sasquatch is a dirty guy.
So to get that cut, is that's their nails as claws, or those are the ones nails that have the Yeah. Sam's pretty normal. Thank you for being Sam's Pretty Paranormal. Thank you so much for being here. Please head to Don't Whistle at Night and subscribe to their channel. We would really appreciate if you would hit like and subscribe so you don't miss any of their segments, their show. I'm just plugging it now, so because I'm about to plug Sam too. So Sam's Pretty Paranormal is on YouTube as well too, and Sam helps. I remember I was sharing about Richie and his gifting chair. So Sam has worked with Richie, and Sam also has experiences on her property with something. And when it's interesting when you said that they can have an obsession or a voyeur experience that can turn into obsession, because it's curious to see it. Sam, your thoughts, what we're sharing. I have to scroll down more because there's so many comments and I'm trying to get to them. If something from Richie's has moved over to your space after you getting involved as well too. But you can head to Sam's Pretty Paranormal for her YouTube videos. They're brilliant. And then you can see her supporting Bigfoot Banter with Richie B. Kurt's saying seems to be a lot of three-toed around where I'm at, and they're long toes, and you can tell it comes from a sharp point at the end, at the toe end.
Oh man, like I gotta see how long, because if it's like long, it's the alien. But if it's like a toe with a claw, that's Bigfoot. But if it's 3 like feet long toes, that's the alien, like he got on his picture.
Yeah.
That's
And
pretty cool.
along the bottom
sharp point.
along the bottom is John's email address. For those folks that are our audio listeners, it's we're going to have to. I have to write it down because I'm not going to remember off the top of my head, and I am so sorry.
It's okay.
L-K-A-A-H. Okay. ALILEENAALKAAH Or you just head to Don't Whistle at Night, like and subscribe, and there'll be an email address there for you to follow as well too, which is even better. So you got stories, pictures, images that you would like to share about your experiences. Hi, Strangeness Paranormal. Please send them to John.
Don't forget to add podcasts at the end. Because,
yes.
like, I noticed there's a lot of Don't Whistles now. So I'm like, wow, they're popping up everywhere. Like,
Yeah, Don't Whistle at Night podcast. Sherry Madigan, thank you very much. Thank you for being here. And thank you very much about the hair comment. I feel like a train wreck today, but I appreciate that. Let's see if we can get this comment to come up. There we go. Oh, we talked about this, Sam. Actually, we talked about this earlier. Sam is asking, do you find crushed animal bones with the marrow completely sucked out in your area? My buddies Richie B and Wojo. That's right. We talked about that. Cetania. They research Cetania. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And Don was sharing that you have, right? Where the marrow is sucked out and that they like blood even more than water. And sorry that I'm getting caught up with the questions. Why not Hawaii? Do you have any thoughts or theories as to why Hawaii doesn't have any?
It's too far from the mainland. Too far from mainland, I think. They have spirits there. They have those ghosts of those warriors that march. I'm gonna have a guess that's gonna share that story that he's seen while he's out hiking in Hawaii. Yeah, I forgot what they recall. Yeah, and he also had a Sasquatch encounter, a white Sasquatch encounter out in Northern California.
Oh, interesting. I went looking. I went on a hike hoping, like in the redwoods in California, that something would happen. And I ended up sitting at the Bigfoot Discovery Museum in Santa Cruz. There's an older gentleman that owns it, runs it, and he just had so many stories. So I just sat and listened to him all day. I just wanted to listen to him tell the stories. He just had story after story after story.
That's cool.
I know, it's fascinating, and I feel we need to listen to the stories more, right? Once they're gone, we won't have those stories, so we have to keep track of it. We need to listen.
Exactly. I used to live in Hoopa, California, so that's not too far from the Oregon border. I used to be at the Conservation Corps out there in Northern California a long time ago.
Hey, Wojo, I'm glad that you're here, and it's Dawn. D-O-N. So this is Wojo. So Wojo is part of the gifting chair situation with Bigfoot Banter with Richie B. And Wojo, please do a shout out for John's, where we are trying to get more folks heading to Don't Whistle at Night podcast, people listening on the Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern, correct?
3 p.m. Eastern.
You guys would have lots of stories to swap, actually, Wojo, you and Don. Cindy Waghorn, thank you so much for being here. It is interesting and fascinating, and this is just even a sliver. We haven't even had. There's so many cryptid stories and high strangeness stories, and I realized too that I'm at the hour mark. So give me a second. Past the hour mark, we are going to do the station ID really quickly, so I don't get into trouble. Because last night, Amada slipped a salty word out by accident.
Oh.
And we don't need to get in trouble 2 days in a row. If you are just joining us now, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you being here. You are listening to Spirit Switchboard. I am your host, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. If you are liking what you are listening to, please consider hitting subscribe to Spirit Switchboard on YouTube. I would appreciate that. Please head to uprntalkradio.com to find out all about the shows that we have. There's new shows starting all of the time, and you can find out more about our guests as well too. And there's a little bit of whisper going on that potentially there is going to be a merch page with a new website coming along soon. So that's a little tidbit. Hang on to that stuff. So please follow along, and we appreciate all of you very much for being here. Today's guest is fellow UPRN host, Don Yazzie of Don't Whistle at Night podcast, 3 p.m. Eastern on Sunday afternoons. And Don is just sharing his stories of high strangeness. We've been stuck on Bigfoot in the Navajo Nation. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your stories and time and knowledge with all of us.
Oh yeah, it's been fun. Just been hanging out. I like being a guest.
It's a little less stressful, right?
Yeah, just like, oh, not just kidding.
There's a lot going on. So let me pop up here. That's the other name. Oh, the other name. Thank you so much, Sam. Wasn't sure what the word was. So thank you. That's the other name for Bigfoot in native languages, Blackfoot and Cree. Oh, Elder. Yeah. I know who you're talking about as well, too, because she's also been on the podcast with you guys, right? No problems, Wojo. Thank you for coming in and popping in. I appreciate you. Wojo is asking about infrared sound experiences or any experiences where your energy has been completely zapped around Bigfoot sightings or having the Bigfoot.
No, but he got me scared. Not many things get me scared, or not many things can stop me in my tracks, because my first encounter, I was 18 years old and had some family come off from the reservation. They're raised off the reservation, and they got in like around 11 o'clock and around 12 o'clock, and they wanted to go on a hike. So I was like, all right, let's go for a hike then. I'll take you to where my running route is. I know the area by heart. It's not bad. We'll make our way to the San Juan River. I told him that. And my uncle was like, I want to see something tonight. I want to see a monster. I want to see Skinwalker. I want to see something tonight. I was like, whoa, man, don't jinx it. You might just get what you
wish. That sounds like a bad intention, the Skinwalker,
Yeah, he was wishing for that, And I was like, all right, let's go. And there was 7 of us that went out, and 2 of my aunts were with us. And I was with my uncle and 3 of my cousins. And within 30 minutes of our hike, we got out of the community. We're chit-chatting, joking, laughing. We only had one flashlight. It was really, really dark at night. There was no stars, no moon out. And, we got by this hill, and we started hearing someone yelling. Like we thought it was a person. Intoxicated person, because it sounded like they're yelling, but they're slurring. But it was really loud, really loud. We stopped, and my uncle shined his light that way, and there's the area The area is very dry. This part of the Navajo Nation, there's no trees, there's bushes, very small bushes, and the sand is red, the dirt is red, and I couldn't really tell how close he was. I just seen huge eyes giving off light amber, and it was front facing us. Like it's a predator, like you and I. We're a predator because our eyes facing front. We can see in front of us, and the donkey, cow, their eyes are to the side, and it usually reflects back teal. And this guy, his amber front facing, and I was like, this is probably a cougar or a bobcat. And I started getting closer, and I was talking to my family. I was like, I think it's a cougar. I was turning around looking at them. All six of them were just frozen. They're looking at this thing. And I was like, you guys, what's wrong? I'm going to go walk over. I'm going to go see what's up with this. I was getting closer, and this thing started yelling. And if you ever looked up, I'm sure you guys know Ron Moorhead.
Yeah, I had him on the show.
Yeah, his Sierra sounds, that
Yes,
is
his Sierra sound.
100% proof. All of that he captured, it was giving me all of that,
Yeah,
all of it.
Richie and Wojo have. You correct me if I'm not retelling Wojo properly, but they captured a sound that sounds almost the same as the Sierra sounds
I
from.
gotta hear it.
Yeah.
I love
Wojo, if you see along the bottom, I don't know if you're watching or if you're just listening, but the email address is running along the bottom for Don, so you can reach out to him that way as well too. Yeah, right there.
It means mystical investigator in Navajo translation.
It's beautiful.
Alele na alka.
So continue the story. So the
okay.
sound. So the Sierra sound, which is frightening. So, and it would probably be even louder in a way that you'd feel it in your chest, right?
Yeah, I feel the chest. My clothes was vibrating. Like if you ever sat in a single cab truck with a giant speaker in the back, and you feel it, and you're trying to swallow your saliva, but you feel your saliva vibrating. That it was like
It's
that.
crazy.
Yeah, and I kept walking. He was 100. I didn't know he was 100 yards away. I thought he was a quarter mile away. I was gonna get closer to get better look at this thing, but I realized that he was 100 yards away from us, and I realized that his hair was red because the sand, the dirt was red, and he was at this hill because there's a couple mesas over yonder. I thought he was over yonder, but he was just right here.
That's only 3 jumps, though.
Yeah. So the whole
That's only
time,
3 jumps away.
yeah, he could have just jumped and carried me off. I would have been like a shaking baby. Like put me down. But he was. Every 5 yards, I was getting closer. He was making more louder vocals, different vocal ranges, different chattering. And when I got within 20 yards from him, I realized that his eyes was so huge, far apart, and his head was conical. He had no neck, and his shoulder was 5 feet, and it was all red hair. And I realized like this is not a skinwalker, because the whole time I was coming up to it, it sounded like a lady too, and I thought it was an old Navajo lady that was using black magic to mess with us. And I was walking up to it. I was gonna, pimp slap it. I was the whole time I was like, I'm not afraid of you. Your magic's not gonna work on me. It's not gonna work on me. But like, oh, this is kind of getting weird. Why is my whole body vibrating? This is really loud. And then I got close. I was like, oh, what great eyes you have, Grandma. That and this guy started going like that part on the Sierra sounds where with that part.
Yeah.
But he's doing that part. His whole body is like going like this really fast, like that. He was moving, and I think he had his hand up. That stopped me cold, and I was watching him shake himself really fast, and he stopped shaking and he was yelling and he was sound like he was like moaning and lonely and hurt and crying, all that together. But the whole time within my eyes were locking eyes, and I was like, it just unlocked the memory like an old ancient struggle, like ancient struggle. Like this guy is the monster. I had no idea it was Bigfoot at all. This is 2008. This is before I had cell phone. This is
Yeah.
before I had access to the internet. I didn't even. I finally came to a conclusion that it was Sasquatch 10 years later. Isn't that amazing?
Did your intuitive senses kick in because you had that intuitive connection from the time that
Yeah,
you were
I
younger?
think
So
that's where I was
seeing him,
getting all
right?
that. Yeah, like an ancient struggle, an ancient monster, an ancient enemy from our people. Like it went way back. Like I was getting all
Wow,
this
wow, 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 wow.
data quick. Like that
Wow.
really made me go back into my culture, like ask why are these things around? No one ever told me this, and I started digging into my culture and asking around, and it's like finding old toys that I lost a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, this is a part of me. This is history that we lost, and like it makes sense, like seeing it, locking eyes, all this information, it's
Do you feel that was the intention then? Do you feel that Sasquatch, that was the intention to help trigger that memory, to trigger that response? Because you've said they could jump and be there in a second if if it was a he or she, whatever, they wanted to jump those 3 jumps and hurt you, they could have done that.
hmm Yeah, I wasn't alone. I think that's why I had six of my family member like a
Um,
100 yards away, and I was closest one to it. And after he started vocalizing and screaming, yeah, I was taking a step back. So there's a heel separating us. I can see its upper body, torso, and it was taking a
okay.
step back, and then the shadow from the heel was casting on its body. Each step and it stopped where I can see his huge giant eyes. His eyes is like this, like huge,
And
like this, and like everything's proportioned to the giant. So he
yeah, yeah.
stopped where I can just see his eye. He's looking at me, and then went behind the hill. And I turned around, and that whole 100 yards back to my family. I was throwing everything out. What is this? What, making sense of myself. I was like, nope, writing paper, nope, 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 nope. I don't know what this is. I got to them. All of them were staring at me, looking at me. And then I told them, I said, Bobcat. I lied because I
Oh,
had no idea what I seen. And we continued on our journey. And 12 o'clock, this whole time this guy was stalking us. That creek turned into a labyrinth, and this guy was over us, rocks falling down. Nobody knew he was stalking us but me. I knew he was in the darkness the whole time. I was disoriented. I had a lot of things going on in my mind, but they couldn't tell because it was dark. There's only one light. We're busy trying to see in the dark, and
right.
I have all this battle going on inside. And we finally found the dirt road, and we're making our way back to the community. And a lot of us, we let our guard down. And the youngest member of our group was one of my cousins. He was like 13, skinny guy, short. He got ahead of us, 50 yards or so. He turned the corner, and I look down to look at my footing to make sure I'm not going to trip on anything. And I look up, and he's right in front of me. And if you can imagine Woody from Toy Story running, with his hands out, his legs out, that's how he looked. His eyes about to come out of sockets, and he
Yeah.
tackled. Oh, he tackled me. Boom! I was like, "What's going on? What's up? What's up?" And he's like, I seen the Yei'iitsoh. I was like, Yei'iitsoh. He's screaming. He's squeezing me. And I was like, tell me, talk to me. What did you see? What did you see? He's like, it's a Yei'iitsoh. It's translation. Yei'iitsoh means Skinwalker Navajo. So that's what he was saying. He was repeating himself. He was,
Frightened.
yeah. And I finally managed to calm him down. And I asked him, what did you see? I need to know, what did you see? And he said that when he got around that corner, he said he's seen a big orangutan running towards him on all four, reaching his big old hands out to grab him. And he turned around and ran back towards us. I mean, if he would have took him, he would have took him.
Wow.
And as soon as he told me that red orangutan, he confirmed what I seen hours earlier. I threw him
Wow.
off me.
Wow.
I threw him off and I started running on that dirt road where he came. And I had another cousin with me that was a year older. He was his older brother. And he was running behind me. We're both running. We turned the corner about 20 more yards. We ran into was a wall of stench that made us stop and gag and trying to get fresh air because we're running really fast and we're gonna fight this this
Right.
orangutan, for scaring me and scaring my little family member. It's okay you scare me, but you can't scare my little family member. And I was charging, and that's where I ran to the smell. This hill is really a steep incline. Oh man, it's probably like about 85 degrees. It's just really steep. My cousin, he said, look, we both look, there's some rocks coming down. This guy was already up on top. Really
Crazy.
impossible for us to climb up something that steep because these are really small, fine rock pebbles, sandstone pebbles that are very slippery. So the climate there is really rough and rugged. There's hills, there's mesas, there's washes. It's a lot of elevation change, drastic elevation changes.
Do they there's Kurt and Wojo, I'll get to your questions in just 1 second. You're sharing so much and being very transparent and very vulnerable, sharing all of those experiences. How does your community and your family feel about you being more open outside of the community with your stories, sharing with people?
I get a lot of backlash from my own community. I get
Mm.
shunned, uh, bullied, made fun of, for sharing my stories and sharing my witnesses' stories and my encounters and my beliefs, everything for my character, and I've always been bullied a lot. I'm used to it. No one's going to
Mm.
shut me up from speaking the truth, from speaking from what I seen, because no one can take that from me, from what I
That's
experienced in this life. They weren't there with me. They weren't there to see and smell and taste my environment as a child growing up with this Bigfoot outside trying to get into the trailer and try and take us. It goes back that far with him around, taking the animals, leaving tracks, throwing our water barrels around outside our house, taking the dogs. It's just countless, so many stories. And for me, I want to share them encounters and share some of our culture stories of our
yeah.
identity, so it can be forever preserved here, so our culture can be passed on to audiences across the world, because a lot of our people, my community, we're, people, they misjudge us, or they think that we're something else and we're opposite of what they think, so speaking up for my community, being a reporter, especially on the cryptids and especially on the unjust side as well.
Do you feel that there are people who've had experiences and lived in fear, um, that they have relief in being able to share their stories with someone finally able to believe them and somebody who's willing to listen?
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the best payoff of it, that's really unheard of, because speaking with people that seen everything from a gargoyle to dragon to Bigfoot to little people, and me seeing all these things like Goatman, and believing them and hearing them, they finally have someone to unload on, and it makes them feel better. They'll tell you as well, I feel a lot better speaking about it. And say,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm here for you. I believe you. Here's my number. If you need any food, water and all that. I you don't really brag about what we do, but we try to help out any way we can. and
Yeah.
especially pray with the family, if that helps out a lot as well.
Yeah. And that the access to understanding, help, and support can't be there unless the stories are shared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wojo was asking if you. Oh, so let me come back to Kurt. I appreciate you being here and sharing so much. Thank you. So
Cool.
Don is sharing. I just tagged you in that whistle or screech video on Facebook.
Ooh.
Wojo is asking about Dogman experiences in your area, which I had
Yeah.
wrote Goatman because I was going to make fun of you for making that post on social media about the, because I'm like, what the heck is that? And if we're not supposed to whistle at night, is that not inviting something to happen? But um, so, and Dogman and Goatman are two separate things, right? Like they're not even the same
No,
kind of cryptid.
no, the dogman's over 7 foot tall, and when he's coming, he's screaming, just a scream. It doesn't get quiet. It just gets louder, longer than 25 seconds. Set of lungs on the Bigfoot. So for our people's understanding is that the Dogman and the Bigfoot are the same thing. They're both Bigfoot, but they're just different variations.
Oh,
They're
interesting.
not separate. Yeah, they're the same but little different things.
Interesting.
Just like from a gorilla to a manrill and a baboon. They're the same but little different from each other.
Right, right.
Something like that. Yeah, there's many different ones. There's over 20 of them, and I have a government friend. His non-disclosure agreement is ending soon. We call him Mr. Black, and he used to work for the government. And the United States government knows that there's over 23 different species of Bigfoot, and our people know that as well. And I don't trust the Navajo Rangers because people do put bullets in them. People have taken these guys down. There's Bigfoot on the Navajo Nation. He has one eye missing, or he got shot up and he has a leg missing, or he's trying to move. Because people on the Navajo Nation, they shoot first. They don't ask questions.
Interesting. That's that's a lot of sad. But again, it's like you said the population is huge, so population both within your own community and their community, and then if it's in this area, how do you run out of room to coexist? You're going to start
Yeah,
being
especially like
too
pinon.
much.
Yeah, especially pinon picking season. We're out in the forest picking pinon. These guys are out. They'll take women and children. We have a lot of people survive being taken by Bigfoot every year.
James
Oh,
is saying,
25.
heard a howl scream lasting 25 seconds.
That'd be them. That'd be them. If it gets louder too, it doesn't get quiet like ours, it just gets louder.
Wow.
Ooh, 1 over 8 feet. Yeah. Yeah, they're that
So,
tall. We have
uh,
one oh sorry, go ahead.
well, I'm just going to share really quickly. So Wojo is making a comment about not being a gatekeeper, and for you and your community, this isn't about necessarily gatekeeping. It's about cultural beliefs. In if you share, it's like an invitation. If you share, it could create more issue, right? It's not necessarily about gatekeeping, but I Wojo, I know that you and Richie are very open with everything. You share information, want people to learn as well too. You share back and forth. Um, uh, they go live while they're out walking on as well too. So people, we're all watching. Like they're building a very big and beautiful community of people. So we're not gate people. We have a passion. We are protectors of the forest people. We share stories and build a community. The howl. I got that already, right? The howl lasting 25 seconds. Yeah, and that's crazy that it's gonna get louder, not die, like get quieter.
Mm-hmm. They'll even try to imitate wolves as well. Yeah, and on that gatekeeping part, no, we're not gatekeeping. We just want our space. everything got taken from us,
Yeah.
and the only thing we have is our stories and whatever we have left, and we want to keep everyone away because we have neighbors that are over the way and they don't want any intruders. They have a 270 or 245 or 3030, you know, and they don't want anyone near. Then, like, if you try to call the cops on, say, hey, you crossed his boundary line, he can shoot you if he wants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of us. We like our privacy, and we like everything to be wild and natural as possible. So, like, if they put in a street sign or a stop sign that gives off light and has this little solar thing, they'll destroy it. They'll take it down just because it messes up the view.
Really,
Every
eh?
sign, yeah, all the signs have shotgun blast,
Oh,
rifle rounds going through them. All the signs. So everyone's armed to the teeth, and we're not going to let anyone step in the land or take our guns away again. So, it's more of
I
our sovereign territory. We're not gatekeeping.
no.
And like they're against me sharing because they don't want anyone coming to the reservation, because we have a lot of people coming that aren't Navajo Nation residents coming onto the reservation selling drugs or human trafficking. So we have that problem. We have no police. We don't call police at home. We call family. We call each other. It's sad,
Sad,
but
eh? It is sad. It is sad. And a big part of why we are needing to have accountability and make changes for what our ancestors did. So, yeah, that we can do better, and for
oh yeah,
our generation after us as well too.
yeah,
Um, Kurt is saying only takes one fly to ruin the punch bowl. I fully understand that there's people that will flock to an area that's known if it's publicly known. So secret spots and traditions should be kept sacred.
yeah. That's the main thing they would all stress on. Like for me, like a lot of the people, they see me around, they see me on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, getting out there. And so, I introduce myself, where I come from, my clan, and what makes me Navajo. I give them my secret identity. Like here, I wouldn't be able to give my secret identity to you guys, because I don't really trust everybody. Like if I were to trust somebody, I'd be really intimate with a stranger. I would give them my whole identity to them. I'm being,
Mm,
just sharing my information that this is who I am. I have nothing to hide from you. And the whole time I'm speaking to them, I'm keeping eye contact,
right.
because the eyes are the window to the soul. So I'm letting them read me, and I'm not breaking eye contact. So that shows that I'm
Yeah.
hiding something, or I'm up to no good.
Right. Up to no good.
Yeah.
Cool. Sam is saying we definitely would love to have you on the Banter with Richie B podcast and come
Oh,
over to
cool.
the yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to share culture stories and cryptid stories and some of my witnesses' stories. It's going to be a lot. You're going to have to be 3-part, 2-part
Yeah.
episode.
Or continues. Yeah. We didn't Goatman. I really would love to hear about Goatman. I know that we have about 15 minutes. We have or less, 12-ish minutes. I don't know. But Goatman was on that list for sure. Um, you're very genuine. We're thankful you are sharing.
You're welcome.
I just want to. I know that it's going to be off topic from Bigfoot, and we have all the Bigfoot um, uh, people in the chat, but the dust devils. Can you talk about the dust devils?
Yeah, there's a few stories on them, but one of the stories that I know is that you are never to go into the dirt devil, dust devil. And when you see them, you're supposed to pray, get out your medicine and say your prayers, because you know the saying goes that that's how the witch doctors, the bad shamans, the medicine men that do no good, They travel that way in dust devils, so they won't leave their tracks behind.
I find that interesting because when I would see them, my hackles would go up. Just at the back of my neck, it would go, oh. And I'd never, you see people being fascinated, right? Like fascinated by it when I was growing up and kids and where I was growing up. But I never did. My hackles would go up. So now I understand why my hackles went up.
Ooh,
There's something
this is
not good with it.
a rolling vortex is one of the other ones. It's a rolling portal.
A rolling portal?
Yeah, because like the skinwalkers are able to astral project during the daytime to gather information on whoever they're paid to gather information on, or to get rid of whoever they're paid to get rid of.
Oh, that's interesting too.
Yeah, they'll go into someone's house underneath their trailer or wherever and open up a portal. It gets really. It's another can of worms. It's another can of worms, that topic, but it's one that a lot of people don't understand. And my kids, they believe that I should speak on it, as because it's educational.
Yeah, well, there's so much. I find people kind of get into this world of paranormal, high strangeness, even like love and lighter world, and there's an interest with the buzzwords and what everybody's talking about without really understanding the depth of it and responsibility attached to the knowledge that comes with it. And Skinwalker is one of those things. Like it's frustrating to see all the Skinwalker videos and conversations and things that just don't make it. It's not really what it is.
No. Yeah, no. The real ones would be. Huh?
No, sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Sorry. Just so I can answer your question a lot better. Go ahead. You can finish your question again.
Oh no, it wasn't a question. It was just going to be a rant. It's like the words "love" and "lighter." When people say "love" and "lighter," and I'm like, "What?" It makes me roll my eyeballs. So like, I can imagine like how many videos that you see that make you roll your eyeballs.
All of them. All of them. Basically, all of them. Like we got this one the kids saying "Skinwalker, Skinwalker" out there in the forest, and like, bro, they got more important things to do other than mess around with your skinny ass, or excuse me, if you're skinny behind.
Tag, you're in trouble now.
I mean a donkey, a skinny donkey. All right.
Yeah.
So they got other plans. They have other fish to fry. They have to attend meetings with the other skinwalkers. They got a lot of things they have to do. Eat dead bodies. A bunch of things. They have agendas that they have to do to prove their loyalty to that cult and to the devil.
Yeah. Because
they've
made a contract and they've made an agreement that they have to follow through with.
Yeah, you give your baby. You give say you have 5 kids and you have one favorite one, and you give that one up and you get all these powers beyond your wildest dreams. So like you would say you're a guy and you see this chick, you want to take home. Everyone wants to take that chick home. And then this one guy, he knows magic. He knows a trick. So he goes to a buck. He kills the buck and he gets his privates and he does a certain things with it. And he comes back and he goes to that woman, he shakes her hand and he takes her home. So he would take home anybody he wants. So there's certain tricks. There's different. It's just another can of worms after a can of worms that will blow your mind.
Wow.
The spirit realm is very, very real. It's the real realm. This realm we are right now. This is a dream. This is not the real thing here.
Yeah. That became more apparent to me a few weeks ago. Yeah. There's lots of crazy stuff happening for me lately. More than
Mhm.
normal. More than
Yeah.
normal. And I've been doing this for 18 years. So more than normal stuff has been weird. Stephen is saying, must go. Thank you both for a great show. Enjoy your weekend.
Oh,
Thanks for being here, Bojo,
thank you,
and
Stephen.
being here. Kurt, awesome conversation as always. Thank you, Carolyn. You are welcome. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you so much. It'll be dogs and ice cream when I'm done. Don, thanks for your time, brother. I'll catch you on Sunday. Can't wait. Just getting this in now. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
We appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
I don't feel like we're going to, like that we're meant to know all the answers right away. I think that there's
Yeah.
things that we're not allowed to know and we're not meant to know.
Yeah. Just like for instance, we had this one guy that everyone's asking me like the portals, and they're like, "Can you go in there?" And I tell them, "No, you can't go in there because you're not invited. If you're a
Yeah.
skinwalker, that's the only way you're invited. A human is if he's a skinwalker, then he can open it and access it at will anytime, anywhere. But if you're not initiated into that, you go into the portal, you're gonna get cancer and die. You're gonna get a mysterious sickness that will kill you. So we're not supposed to enter that portal. Same thing with the lightning. When a lightning strikes a tree, that opens the portal to the little people, the duendes realm. We're not supposed to touch it. We're not supposed to dig into it. You dig into it, the hollow, it goes into the little people. The little people won't let you go. If they like you, you'll never ever return. They'll allow you to come back every 30 years, every 20 years to visit. You're the same age, your siblings all passed away and their kids, and you come back different generations while you're the same. Then some, yeah. And if you're hiking, you go near a little people dwelling, and you think you're hiking for 2 hours, and you're missing for 2 weeks or 2 days. So you gotta be real careful with those little people around Navajo Nation.
And that's not even going missing with aliens or UFOs.
Yeah, yeah, I seen an abduction, two of them, all after one another. I seen that, and you know, I don't know. There's different ways people go missing. You get close to a cave that a Rake lives in. That Rake will take you, and you'll never be found again. That Rake is not a pretty being. There's all stories of that being coming through when the Anasazis opened the portal in one of their kivas one time. That's one of the stories.
It's scary. It is scary, Sam. I agree. But at the same time, we all love scary stories. We flock to it and we just always want to hear more. Why?
Yeah, I don't know. It's for our information. Like as a child, this is why I got all into this podcast. As far as I can remember, my great grandmother's place. No electricity, no running water, just seeing the fire, from the stove, and the kerosene lamp giving off light, and all the older people, drinking strong black hot Folgers coffee, speaking about this scary story, just scary stories and magical stories, what they seem just constantly throwing left and right, and I'm trying to stay awake. I'm afraid, but I'm also, like, wow, this is
Yeah.
this needs to be recorded. Someone
Understood.
needs to look into this.
Were stories shared more like through winter than through summer? Or like I
uh,
I
all
like
the time.
I
Mhm.
know in northern communities because you're home, right? And there's a belief that things are quieter through the winter time. There are more things that are more dormant. So it's there's more of a permission to talk about that stuff through the winter than there is through summer and spring. But
It's
is that
basically 24/7, like depending on the situation, because there's always a lesson for everything, even talking,
yeah.
just bad, or saying just words that you don't mean, and we get told a story, you know, what not to, you know, just say random words. And, you know, so we were
That's true.
constantly being told stories. Yeah, constantly. So a lot of times we just end up being quiet, being quiet, saying yes, because we get lectured saying, hey, you're not supposed to do this because, you know. So it's
Yeah.
basically like all these spiders you see here, they're really smart. And the reason why they're here is because the smart ones live long enough to watch all the dumb spiders die. And the ones that seen how they watch them die, they learn so they can adjust how they're going to live and avoid us and not die. So they watch us a lot. So they're actually our roommate, you know? Yeah. So that's
I'm
how it
okay
is
with
in the world.
spiders, actually. I'm okay with spiders.
Oh, we got 5 feet spiders on the Navajo Nation. I wonder if you'll be okay with that one too.
They're 5 feet wide.
5 feet tall. Some of
Five
them are
feet.
3 feet and three wide, 3 feet tall. Some
Shush.
spiders. Yeah, there's I have witnesses that like they're sheep. They're herding sheep, and then they come up
No, I'm
on their
not okay
sheep.
with that.
And they find all their spiders all around that sheep, and they take off. The spiders run off, and they just the bone. These guys,
It's
they
bigger than
ate
me.
everything. Yeah.
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no,
we have
no.
a deity called Spider Woman. They protect her, so
Interesting.
she
There's so
lives.
much, and we have to go. We have to, so we don't get in double trouble 2 nights in a row.
Oh, it's
So
okay.
I'll do
Three,
it in time.
yeah. Lucky number three. No, just kidding. I'm worth it. No, just kidding.
We'll bring you back. We'll bring you back and do this again. Thank you so much for being here. Where can everybody give a shout out? Where can they find you?
Don't Whistle at Night podcast. We're on Spotify, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live, and here 107.7 FM. Sundays, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 o'clock Pacific Time.
Yeah.
Sundays.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for being in the chat. Next week, I have Marilyn Kaufman coming back on, and we are going to talk about the Life Between Lives regression that I did. And I'm going to be very vulnerable and share some of the stuff that I saw during my walking time that I did. It's going to be crazy. So we're going to share that next week. So stay tuned. Jeffrey Pritchett is next with Church of Mavis. And you have been listening to the United Public Radio Network. You've been listening to Spirit Switchboard. I'm your host, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. And we are on United Public Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. Have a good week, everybody.